technical difficulties, but we are now live with a race from the Tower of Hera division between Darkshadows59 and Geoff. My name is RadicalSniper99, and tonight I'm joined by Rive. How's it going?
I'm doing good here, and yeah, the race is, as you can see, is already underway. So we'll catch you up on anything you may have missed. But of course, there's still a lot to figure out. So we haven't missed that much.
Yeah, we do know it was a standard start. We got hookshot out of Link's house, as well as a sword on the Uncle. The sword was not being held out by Uncle, so there is a good chance this is a vanilla sword seed. We also saw a map check on the way and found that we had a few crystals in the light world, so we know we're not in a map shuffle right now either.
Players are both picking up blue cane here already, as well as magic powder. So a lot of items in the back of in the front of escape already. Not really items that unlock that much, but definitely very useful. Today we're also joined here by 2D Tones that will keeping us on track and in line with his massive tracking skills.
And we did find that the big key gave us text, so that means we are definitely having a big key shuffle, but the fact that we didn't get text on the small key means no small key shuffle. So we're definitely getting a mishmash of the key sanity settings. So far we do know that big keys are, and maps and small keys are not.
Which also means there's no entrance randomizer.
Correct.
It is. It's been set so that in the settings, if it's entrance randomizer, it's either full key sanity or nothing. And since we have some shuffled, some not, that's why we know it's already not entrance randomizer. For you who have followed this week more intently, you'll of course already know this, as this is the final game of this mystery week.
Yeah, starting tomorrow, we will be moving on to all dungeons key sanity. So if you missed seeing any dungeons or were felt spoiled by having, 3 crystal fast Ganon, you'll get to see it all again next week.
Yeah, if you want those 2-hour plus matches, that next week is just for you. I know, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some Castle Tower key hunts.
And the ever important Swamp Palace key, of course.
Of course, always. So we are heading towards that back of escape portion. So we did find quite a few really nice items. A lot of safety for this early in a seed. Unfortunately, no bombs yet.
And without the boots that some seeds can have as a guaranteed start, of course, they'll have a bit more trouble getting free bombs. As well as not being able to, so of course, open here the back of escape those 3 chests. Killing some enemies, trying to see, does this map pack have any bombs, but so far no luck for either players.
Yeah, I know we got heart and I believe some magic off of some of the snakes and the guards, but we haven't really seen anything. And we did see that stun prize as well was red 20s.
As far as stun prizes go, that's a nice one.
Oh, we did miss it, but Dark Shadows got an 8 bomb drop.
He's got a bit more luck. I've seen that Geoff was really just not getting any drops at all. So that's just some bad luck, so he'll have to make his way back here eventually. Let's see if he is actually missing anything. The lamp.
So that's an interesting find, and one that could be a huge deal going forward. One thing to keep in mind is that technically those checks are in logic as long as you have Fire Rod. So unless we see a glove or, Geoff knows the placement or the ability to go through Fire Rod, Dark Escape, might not see it. Never mind.
We saw glove, yeah. So So yeah, now, a couple of these rooms are going to be out of logic, even with a fire rod, because there's just no torch. But these players are, of course, capable of doing them without a problem. But even if capable of doing them, it's going to be a bit slower without that lamp. And of course, as long as the fire rod is not there, any fire source required area is just off limits.
So not much off our bush crabs either, just small magics. But we are going to get a lumberjack check. And nothing there either. There's a definite push when you're in this kind of mode to get that Dark World access, though. You know, you want to find out what that goal is going to be. We didn't have the book to kind of give us a hint yet. So we're going to hope to see, you know, Hammer and Moon Pearl as soon as possible and just make a beeline for the pyramid.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the checks that you see very early. There's that book you were talking about again. See, you keep just talking about an item and it shows up. That's suspicious to me.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. My powers must have activated today.
Yeah. One of the things that surprised me a bit is that indeed, once they have Dark World access, they check that pyramid very quickly. Ooh, that bomb pull from the tree. But one of the things that often gets skipped for a bit is the check on Ganon's tower to see what it takes to get in there. Oh,
Yeah,
Dark Shadow.
Darkshadows is heading towards the pedestal. But on the point with GT, it's definitely an item that a lot of people forget in Mystery. So this is definitely a vanilla sword setup, given 2 swords in vanilla locations.
Yeah, it would be very coincidental if it was not.
Got that big key to Mire in a Blind's hideout.
Other than that, not really anything yet. The fact a lot of checks to go. Palace of Darkness. Very important big key. And there's the Moon Pearl. Alright, well is loaded. Moon Pearl, Palace of Darkness big key, boots, Aether Medallion. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great start for the seed. You know, we'll be moving around real quick. The fact that we've got the hookshot as well, you know, this gives a lot of options for the mountain.
Yeah, all this well was missing actually was a flute as well. And Bombo's medallion.
Hopefully Geoff does get back over to that back of escape, although I wonder, you know, how much they'll be tempted to just hit everything else right now, because we have options, and they are numerous.
I think in that case, best would be for him if he were to find another glove, because so he could check King's Tomb while he was there. That would probably send him directly that way.
Yeah, that would definitely help.
Definitely, but of course the lure of 3 items in Back of Escape is already pretty big. Oh, actually, he probably knows it is only 2 items. Oh, risk him having that bottle of red goo. Darkshadow does take the time to get that piece of heart.
Yeah, interesting choice this early. We don't have a lot of health yet, but you kind of hope, and you're going to be skipping more of them later on.
Yeah, it's from what races I've seen, it's a bit unusual for racers to go to take that time for a piece of heart. If it was a full heart container, that happens a bit more often. But of course, a piece of heart in itself, you need to find a bunch more.
Now here's a little divergence. Darkshadows is going to go turn in to Sick Kid, it looks like, while Geoff is just going to head straight for the South Shore.
If you were in the situation, which choice would you have gone for?
I kind of don't, given how much we've already done in Kakariko, I don't know how soon I would head back, so I think it's a fair a move to kind of hit that real quick. Especially given the hook shot and the boots. We saw hook speed from Darkshadows.
Yeah, I agree. I would have made the same decision personally. Again, it's our Bicky.
It's a very nice find this early, and it looks like Darkshadows might actually be making a play for the mountain.
I think it looks like he's going to do Bonk Rocks, and I'm thinking Back of Escape as well first.
Darkshadows did the Back of Escape.
Oh, right,
that was
Geoff
where they got their lamp. So
yes, you're absolutely right.
Although now I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
is this a Houlihan play? Yeah, it looks like we're going to get Houlihan.
There's a second glove in Mini Moldorm Cave. And that's probably, once he's done here, gonna send him over to the Back of Escape as well as King's Tomb. Of course, he might not go there immediately, depending if he wants to check Ice Rod Cave, maybe do Fake Flipper or Water Walking from there.
And hopefully Darkshadows does get that before making a mountain trip, because there is, and it looks like Darkshadows will, there's a lot we can do now on Death Mountain.
Yeah, there's not a lot that's not available. I guess the top of Spectacle Rock, Tower of Hera, those are still off limits. But other than that... Oh, they have a blue rod, so they could do... No, they don't have the hammer for Spike Cave. Yeah, they've got pretty much everything there available. And we saw that Geoff did indeed set up that water walking, but he bonks. There he goes.
Yeah, now we are currently locked from East Arc World, so the question is, do you take an opportunity to maybe, set up the water walk, the Dark World water walk over by Skull, or do you perform a Kern jump and just get over there sooner?
We also saw that the Redkin is mirror locked on Lake Alias Island.
Now, Geoff went for the hobo instead of going into Zora Waterfall.
On the one hand, it's only one compared to 2 items, but on the other hand, getting those 2 items now orphans Zora a bit because he can't get that yet. And just not doing the play I was talking about earlier, checking that Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb, and Back of Escape, so he'll be picking up his lamp as well momentarily. Or not, he's just going the other way.
Interesting.
That surprised me, he's right there.
Yeah, possibly forgot about King's Tomb so quickly. Just the wealth of options, maybe. Oh, also a Sick Kid turn in.
That's quite a bit of way to go around. If he also wants to do King's Tomb and Back of Escape, of course he could just save and quit from here. But he does not. He's just going right into the dark world.
Hopefully that the light source or the fire source of the lamp isn't required for that fire rod for a while. Or at all, really.
I can very much understand this play though, because there's a lot of checks here readily available to him. And that King's Tomb and the Back of Escape remains available to him at any time from just the save and quit.
True, we just don't have the ability to clear out things in the traditional sense. You know, we don't have the big key for thieves yet, so this is just a front 4.
Blue mail though, confirming that we are on a normal item set. Darkshadows fake flipping into Waterfall, getting the items, and thanks to the Moon Pearl, he will be able to. He only picked up one of the chests.
Unfortunately, when you fill up a heart container inside while you're in a fake flipper state, it actually puts you back into a swimming state.
Right. Okay then.
So luckily, Darkshadows did have the Moon Pearl and could leave and enter again to get back into a water walk.
Just a bottle of green goo on Zora Ledge.
Yeah, we're probably not going to see that bottle anytime soon.
Yeah, chat pointing out that he just kind of got messed up there because he picked up that heart in library, that piece of heart. Kingston only 50 rupees.
Yeah, we're definitely not very rich in terms of rupee count yet, so not the worst find this early.
Definitely, and once Darkshadows makes his way into Thieves Town, he'll pick up another 300 there. But looks like he might be making the Death Mountain play here first.
Yeah, from a density standpoint, we'll get Old Man, we'll get Inside of Spectacle Rock, we'll get the 7 in Paradox, the 1 in Spiral, the 2 in Super Bunny, and then also clear out all 4 of Hookshot Cave.
And find out what's inside of, what medallion is needed for Turtle Rock. And I think that's it.
And hopefully a check of GT. You know, just a knowledge question.
He needs a oh wait, right, he can get there as well. I always think you need a hammer for that, but you only need a hammer in the light world. Well, there's the Thieves Town big key. That of course saves Darkshadow some time when he finally does go there. He can just go through it in one go. Did we actually get a map check from Geoff though?
If we did, I did miss it, unfortunately.
Just some rupees on both Stump Kit and inside Spectacle Rock, and bombs lying on top.
Yeah, as chat's pointing out, you know, we did have an opportunity there to go straight for our blacksmith friend, and unfortunately, Geoff is not bringing Jeremiah along for a Dark World tour, so this will not be a Master Sword pickup. I wonder if part of this is, you know, I think a lot of our runners this week have come out and said, I didn't know Vanilla Swords was a thing. Or, you know, not understanding how that works.
Even then, there's it's still an item that you can almost get for free because you just take him along when you save and quit. He's still right there. We found a small shield in Paradox Cave, while there was the big key to something. I think it was
Desert
Palace.
Yeah.
In Hype Cave.
We've got our flippers out of the Paradox 5.
Time for a closet check. That shovel, will he follow that lead right away? I don't think so. I think that was just bombs on the floating island. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Well, Green Pendant is in Thieves Town.
So our big pickup so far on the on Death Mountain really has just been those flippers. Not much else. You know, we've gotten a big key, which is nice, but of course, sorry, the shield.
The shields bring you one step closer to the lag shields. And Geoff has now officially entered Eastern Palace. Can't clear it as of yet, though, missing that ever important bow.
As well as the big key.
Oh yeah, that's right, the big key's not in here, it's somewhere randomly in the world, but there's a couple of checks that he can do on his way. That 300 rupees is definitely going to make Zora a possibility if he does decide to route that in, but I think he'll be waiting for that quite a bit.
Yeah, we're still waiting. Oh, we got a fire shield and a blue boomerang out of Super Bunny.
Second shield! Oh wait, no, it was was it Darkshadows or Geoff that went into the waterfall cave? I think it was Darkshadows, right?
Yeah, Darkshadows did check out the waterfall.
So yeah, Geoff now having those rupees will make it, and it'll make it more enticing for him to go check out waterfall cave as well as Ledge and Zora himself. He's missing the flippers though. Still.
Yeah, we did also see a good map check there from Darkshadows. Our second 5-6 is TR, while our 3 pendants, as we already knew, Thieves Town is our green, but Skull and Mire are our blue and red pendants.
Yeah, left side is Dark World is not the place to be this seed. And there's a mirror in Hookshot Cave.
And that means Hera is open.
Oh yeah, yes it is.
Clearable, even without the big key. I think, you know, one of the standard things we've seen a lot recently is Hera pot, so I would not be surprised to see Darkshadows just go clear Hera right now.
And maybe he'll even check out what's in front of Canon's Tower so we can find out how many crystals are needed to get in. Alright, 6 to enter.
And hopefully Darkshadows does remember to also check out that Ether tablet, and it looks like there is going to be an Ether tablet check. Obviously cannot get it without the Master Sword.
Just cash dough.
And I mean, at this point, we're just hammer away from quite a bit of real access to finishing dungeons and just kind of motoring through.
Well, I hope this Harpies doesn't bite him in the ass. Although I don't think it will.
And was that the hammer over in Eastern?
Yes, it was. So, I personally still like Darkshadows play a bit more with what he's found on Death Mountain. But that hammer, of course, opening up a lot of stuff for Geoff as well. And he's gonna go do Mountain fairly soon. There's too much there for him to leave behind.
My one question on that front, and I don't know our runners well enough to say, is if Geoff has forgotten to head back to the back of Escape and doesn't feel comfortable with a Dark Death Mountain climb, or like the Death Mountain ascent without a fire source, this could be a little while.
That's fair. I feel like it's one hell of a thing to forget about. But it's always possible under these stressful situations. These things can slip your mind.
But here we go for that goal check. You know, this is the one piece of information we're really short.
Well, we know it's not PED.
Seven crystals, not fast Ganon.
All right.
At least our crystal dungeons, NGT. And we got a fire rod on the pyramid. So we at least have a source of fire for Geoff's side.
as he's now also checking the map for crystals.
And yes, as Zeruvian has pointed out, it is a 6-7 defeat Ganon. So there are some definite bad scenarios that start cropping into everyone's mind when you see that. That means something to complete our 7th dungeon could be in GT.
You never like to see that. Well, from a viewer standpoint, you may, but from a runner standpoint, that's something you definitely don't want to have. I just saw a 20 rupees pickup for Dark Shadows. There should be a total of 3 items in this Tower of Hera. That's one of them. Was anybody else counting to see how many he's gotten?
I saw at least the basement. Basement was what? The small key?
No, you mean if he goes immediately to the left? There was a heart container, so that's 2 items. Alright, so now here's hoping for him that Moldrum has that last item, otherwise the big chest is gonna be guarding that.
Nicely done on that Moldorm kill. Very risky sometimes. And we instead get the map.
Yes, so he will maybe at one point have to come back for that big chest. Maybe. Hopefully for him, not so.
So yeah, I know there's a lot of speculation in chat as to, hey, what can be in GT that could kind of be locked for that 7th crystal. And yeah, there are a lot of options right now.
The biggest one being Ice Rod and a random big key. Oh, there's a bow in Skull Woods. And yes, the Fire Rod was on Pyramid Ledge. And with that, it's both Palace of Darkness and Eastern Palace clearable as if he has the big. Oh, okay. Palace of Darkness clearable. Eastern Palace is missing the big key for Geoff. So I'm guessing once he's got both, he'll be going for the double. If the big key for Eastern Palace isn't by chance in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, I think the one thing kind of holding Geoff back there is not just that Eastern big key, but also the fact, no lamp for pod is definitely one of those harder areas to get through. Instead, we are going to see a Desert Palace play. We can get through Desert Palace, so this isn't a bad idea. And we could have this whole seed without the flute.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. A whole seed that actually plays out without the flutes.
On the plus side, Dark Shadows heading right into Skull Woods means we should see a bow, and hopefully that also draws Dark Shadows into Eastern. Or at least pod, given that we have a bow. Oh wait, no, sorry. I'm wrong there, because we won't have a way to get into pod yet, logically.
Yeah, he definitely needs that hammer to get in there. A red boomerang. Big profit there for Geoff.
Oh, right. Flippers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He can get there. It's a bit of a walk, but possible.
So there is a good chance that Pod Eastern could be the decision on Dark Shadow's side.
As he picks up his own bow, and now the gears are turning.
The other side of this could be, does Dark Shadows go into Thieves Town?
Definitely some easy items to be picked up. He's got the big key for it, but of course, it being a pendant dungeon, you kind of want to avoid that. I mean, you want to avoid the back of Thieves Town. Spend so much more time not knowing what you'll get.
Yeah, it's just that green pendant. You know, we know that there's a 5th item there and a 6th item given that the big keys are shuffled.
Bumper Cave has bombs, not very exciting. But let's see what Graveyard Ledge has. And that will mean Dark Shadow has checked everything in this area, while Geoff still has not gone back there.
Yeah, I believe the only one of those 3 that Geoff had checked was actually the Bonk Rocks.
Absolutely. Yep, he checked that and then skipped everything else. The only real item of note being the lamp, though. So he doesn't need to do it. So he doesn't know it, but the longer he puts it off, the less time he loses.
Unfortunately, Dark Shadows is heading back towards the Village of Outcasts. This could also be a play to get that the Master Sword off the Smiths.
As Geoff is using his Fire Sword to take down Landmos. It's a slow fight this way, but without Silvers, without magic for Fire Rod, it's not much else you can do. He does have arrows and he does try to use them, but it's a slow fight.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Fighter Sword spins actually don't do any extra damage. Luckily, you know, you can try to get a good spin where you hit both of them at the same time, as we're seeing on Geoff's side, but Fighter Sword spins are equivalent to Fighter Sword slashes in this fight.
And that's Geoff's first crystal, so that puts him 1-1 on the scoreboard. I'm expecting a Death Mountain play here, though. Even without the lamp, I think that's most likely what he's going to be doing. Unless he first checks back of escape, and then definitely after it'll be that.
Looks like we're going to get Agina first.
Ah, good that he didn't forget, because I did.
Yeah, Agina, definitely one of those locations that seems to regularly trip up runners or has something that you forget.
And the big key to Swamp Palace.
And we'd actually be able to clear Swamp Palace at this point. We know where the hammer is, and I would, say we'd probably see our runners also get the Cane of Samaria before heading in.
Geoff missing those flippers for that needs to go up the mountain. No, again running away from back of escape. Looks like mountain is the play. And Darkshadows does make the choice to go into the back of escape here. Just went through Hellway and going into the attic now.
I wonder if this fully committing to Thieves Town here is a play for that green pendant, thinking, you know what, I've got mirror, I've got flippers, and wow, that dip into Thieves Town is going to pay off, though, because that's the big key to Turtle Rock.
Definitely, that's so important.
But yeah, I would assume that the play for green pendant here is, eventually going to lead to Dark Shadows heading to the eastern area and go do the Sahasrahla check as well as Eastern Palace.
Yeah, but where is that big key to Eastern hiding? As Geoff now is indeed, he went up the mountain through the darkness, but he has everything he needed so that he can do just about every check here, including the hammer. So he could do Spike Give as well. Yes, indeed. It is indeed 6-7 defeat, so we're going to be seeing most dungeons here with maybe some dips as well into other.
I believe that does confirm we do have an item left in Thieves Town.
Exactly, so that's one item left in the big chest in Thieves Town and one item left in the big chest in Tower of Hera for Dark Shadow. Geoff will be able to get the one in Thieves Town if he does ever go to the back, but since he's already cleared the front, it's not like a location he's gonna go back to quickly, I think.
Yeah, and the options are piling up for Geoff here. Swamp Palace is now they'll have Mirror soon, so I can't imagine Geoff's not gonna say Swamp Palace, even Ice Palace. These are dungeons that are full clearable and are crystals that lead us towards that goal. So I think if you're, from Geoff's perspective, why go back to Thieves Town anytime soon?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the only two items it looks like we still need to complete this seed are the Ice Rod and the big key to Eastern Palace.
They will, of course, have to pick up the red key, but they know where it is, and who knows, maybe Quake is required. I don't think we've had a check for the entrance of Turtle Rock. And again, we get a confirmation that Swords is vanilla as Dark Shadows picks up that Master Sword from the Smiths.
And we're also going to get Magic Bat. This is usually a little lesser known way to get into the Magic Bat. With that mirror, you can just get here. So 7 below asking, what is the mystery flag? So mystery is a set of weighted options as we are getting that league kind of document about what it is. There's a bunch of weights towards stuff like, is this a standard? Is this a Triforce hunt? Is this an entrance rando? Is it a key sanity? What kind of swords are we going to get? So it kind of describes all the different options that a runner will see in this race. They don't know going in. So part of this race mode really focuses on how well do you recognize all those settings on the fly.
One of the important things in these types of runs are knowledge checks in figuring out what you actually have to do, and there are quite a few runners that are not that used to running mystery, and because of that, they're not that used to getting to knowledge checks to find that out. And sometimes it even comes into play that because they didn't check that out, they end up behind because they're doing more than needed.
Yeah, so one of the things we're seeing here, Dark Shadows definitely quickly recognized, or seems to have recognized very quickly, the Vanilla Swords flag that came up with Uncle having that first sword.
Of course, Dark Shadow did, of course, check the pedestal as well.
Yes, and also went and did a GT check, whereas Geoff finished Hookshot Cave and just left. Said, "We're done." It's possible that in this seed, GT could have a go mode item.
This surprised me a little bit, considering that he got the mirror there, so he could have checked what the entrance of Eternal Rock was, and he could have also just done Tower of Hera. Maybe he's not that familiar with Herapod, and he wants that big key, though. That's a possibility. And Dark Shadows is here showing us a fun glitch that if you're bringing the purple chest to this guy, the locksmith, he can just let it go, leave it behind in the dark world. As long as you port to the light world where the guy is already standing, then you can just hand it in as if nothing happened.
Meanwhile, Geoff is heading for that Cane of Samaria. And might continue on to do the other Zora checks, but we do get red mail off of Bombo's tablet.
It's a nice safety, of course, to have. I definitely like picking up the Wrecking here. While Wrecking is not required for Ice Palace, it does make it a lot faster by doing the door state extension in the Icebreaker room.
And it looks like Dark Shadows is actually going to go and clear out Desert Palace real quick.
I like that call. That's a good call.
I'm not sure. According to our tracker, Dark Shadows does not have the Desert Palace big key. Was that in Hype Cave?
That was in... I remember talking about it earlier. I think it was in Hype Cave, yes. Well, since he's there, he just left his portal behind at the locksmith. He's right there. He could just walk over to Hype Cave.
And the fact that Dark Shadows is walking out of Agina's tells, hopefully that this will be okay. Instead, it is going to be a dip into Desert Palace.
That's been unfortunate because he will have to come back. Hopefully, when he does come back, he'll be able to do it a lot faster by just doing the backside and not having to go through here again. But of course, that requires the flute.
Yeah, and we, as Meyer is a pendant, we don't need to find flute in this seed.
Absolutely not required. Completely correct. And who knows? Maybe it's even beatable logic. Flute could be in Meyer, and you'll never see it. And here we see the door state extension from Geoff, for those not familiar with it. What happens is he uses the block to trick the game into thinking he's still in the door, which allows him to move to the right.
And makes Ice Palace almost bearable.
It allows you to clear Ice Palace in a key sanity mode without any keys, or without any small keys going in if you have the hookshot. Half Magic is a very nice pick, of course.
Yeah, and coming up on Cold Stare with Fighter Sword, I would definitely expect Geoff to whip out the Bombos Medallion and then swap to Fire Rod to finish off Cold Stare.
Absolutely.
And Dark Shadows is going out that right entrance of Desert, so definitely going to continue on that loop. Wants to keep that portal and just keep making checks.
Bonks into a cactus, though. That must hurt.
Yeah, the lines that you see runners take in the desert area, it shows a lot of experience. The more practiced a runner is with that, the easier those are. And there we go. There's our Riot Shield. Ice Palace
Love
big
it.
test.
I'm so happy right now. That will cause a little bit of lag on Geoff's side, especially when there's more enemies around, but not too much. But over the course of a long game, that can cost a little bit of time.
And unfortunately, I don't know if I agree with this play on Darkshadow's side to head into Swamp Palace without the hammer. This is quite the gamble of a move when you only are really getting the bombable wall check.
There's that Bombos, and switches to Fire Rod. Almost, yeah, there he goes. Yeah, absolutely, he's going in here. The first chest is, of course, always a key. It doesn't take that much time to get this one chest, but that's all he's getting. And Geoff made very quick work of Skull Stair with that Fire Rod. Very nicely done. Putting him at 2 crystals now. 47 minutes into the game. Compare that to another game that we've had in this week where the match was over in 23 minutes.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of variance.
A 21-minute match. It's insane. Of course, it was a Triforce hunt where nearly every single piece was in the overworld.
And yes, we have had quite the variance with that 21 minute. On the other end, we did have a race yesterday, over 8 hours. So
over 8 hours. You have to tell me, how did that happen?
So what I do know about that one is it was an inverted cross keys boss shuffle. It was not swordless from what I understand, but it was one of those modes that both of the runners were a little unfamiliar with. That's kind of the difficulty in this week, is being exposed to a mode you might not have seen recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything can happen here. So it's nice to have racers that are familiar with a lot of different types of runs, but it's hard to be familiar with all the kinds of different types of runs. It's not as easy as we can maybe say. In the meantime, though, Darkshadows has picked up his Desert Palace big key now. Probably knocked himself in the head a bit from, damn it, if only I had come here first. While Geoff is now going into Swamp Palace, and of course he can full clear it. And Darkshadows will now also find out what his goal is and pick up his Fire Rod.
And also finding out it is not Fast Ganon. Hitting the Fire Rod. Oh wait, we missed Ice Rod.
Wait, Darkshadows has Ice Rod? Where did he get Ice Rod? Magic Bat had Ice Rod. Yeah, I totally missed that.
So we are an Eastern Palace big key away from Go mode.
From no mode.
True.
Because of, Geoff is missing that Ice Rod, but actually the only item that Darkshadows has that Geoff doesn't have, I think, is the lamp and the other than the Ice Rod. Oh, and of course a better sword, which Geoff does need to pick up, otherwise he won't be able to do anything. I mean, won't be able to finish the game. Those bombs from the catfish won't really do much, but of course the Zora is still available for Darkshadow as he just mirrors over.
And might pick up that bottle on their way out. Doesn't have half magic yet, yeah. So could be a benefit.
Free green group, yeah. I absolutely agree.
And you don't know, how are we gonna definitely see silver arrows at some point? Are we gonna see them pick up the tempered sword? If we don't find the silver arrows, I definitely anticipate a tempered sword pickup from the pyramid. But that can be a long fight, and having that extra bit of magic will definitely be a huge benefit to Darkshadows.
Absolutely. Now, we've seen some scams from Zora. This was still a scam, but not as big. Now, we're going to see something fun from Geoff here. So he needs to go to the left side, but he's already filled it with water. He's going to put a bomb there. As it explodes, he transitions, and now he's going to use a glitch to go and walk on the water as if the water's not there. And because he's still within the same super tile, he can now walk up, and the bomb explosion is still there and will now actually hit the switch. And voila, the blue blocks are up, and he can just exit and act as if nothing happened.
Yeah, Diver Down has definitely revolutionized the left side of Swamp Palace. There are two varieties of it. You can do it the way that Geoff did, using that Cane of Samaria. There is also a bomb setup that some of the runners use. You do need the hook shot in order to do this. You can't, because you need that key under the pot in the main arena.
Oh yeah, you definitely need the hook shot to be able to get the other chest as well. Otherwise, you have to go around much quicker this way. And we're seeing Darkshadows here make his way to, well, all of this on the right side. South Closet, Green Pendant, Hand in the Eastern Palace, and Palace of Darkness.
Now the hard part is if you're coming into this area and you're missing that Eastern Palace big key and the hammer, which dungeon do you go into first?
Yeah, no hammer makes you steer away from Palace of Darkness. No Eastern Palace steers you away from Eastern Palace. But of course, we know that the hammer is in Eastern Palace. It's always unfortunate. Why don't the runners know what we know? If only. And we're going to be seeing Diver Down here again from Geoff.
It does look like Darkshadows might be heading into pod first. I think this is a good play. You can get 13 out of the 14 checks done, given that we have the bow. So, all we'll be looking for is, once we get that hammer, come right back to pod.
Geoff having some trouble setting up the Diver Down, but he does get it eventually. When you do it with Jump Down Splash, it's important that you do have a very smooth motion in your arrow keys. You don't have a lot of time to go through a couple of different presses to get that glitch to work.
Yeah, I definitely prefer the Samaria setup over the bombs.
Yes, I agree. The bomb sword isn't exactly much harder, but it is easier to fail, and if you fail it, you do damage yourself. And especially if you're doing a dungeon on low percent, that can really be really scary to do.
And as always, pod is a lot of keys up front, so the real question is, are we going to find that Eastern big key in the back portion here?
In the meantime, we've had a very nice explanation from Koopa Babel in chat of what is the correct choice. If you go Eastern Palace or Palace of Darkness first, and considering you have the mirror, apparently Palace of Darkness is the correct choice, as you can just do just about everything without the hammer. You just need the hammer for Helmasaur King, and before you go to Helmasaur King, you tend to mirror to the start anyway. So if you do find, if you don't find the hammer here, and then go into Eastern Palace and then go find the hammer there and come back in, you don't lose any time because you would have started from the start of Palace of Darkness anyway.
Meanwhile, on Geoff's side, we are getting that Argus fight. We are getting the menu simulator version. Unfortunately, your options at this point are double fighter sword spins, or hookshot over to a single hammer strike.
And the fight will be over momentarily. But still, with Fighter Sword, it's so slow.
And we do get that Quake medallion out of the harmless Hellway.
Alright, so it doesn't matter anymore what's the medallion needed to get at their Turtle Rock. He's got it covered.
And there's that Hera big key. So while this is a good thing in a sense, it also means Eastern Palace big key is our last key at this point and could end up in GT. We do know where all the other items required for GT mode are at this point.
And let's see if Darkshadows does actually pull anything else interesting from the Dark Maze here. And Geoff might be going the same way. No, just 10 arrows. As Darkshadows now enters Eastern Palace, and he'll be happy to find that hammer there.
Yeah, and we should expect just a flurry of dungeon clear after dungeon clear at this point.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're going to be seeing here. Of course, a lot of these dungeons have been covered by one player or the other. Desert Palace cleared by Geoff, Tower of Hera cleared by Darkshadows, Palace of Darkness almost cleared by Darkshadows, with Swamp Palace cleared by Geoff, and Thiefstan, Ice Palace the same. So we're going to see these players mirror each other's movement as they try to collect their crystals and as many items as many checks as possible to find those last couple of items.
Exactly. You know, our big question at this point is only that Eastern Palace big key. You know, I think from Darkshadows' perspective, you know, it's going to be clear as Eastern as far as possible. Get that hammer, head back to pod, complete pod. Then we get to see Swamp, Ice, and Desert end up with a final check at TR. And if we still don't have that big key, where are we going?
He'll be heading into Ganon's Tower then, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm wondering, though, if Geoff will ever think about checking Back of Escape and King's Tomb. Of course, he's not really missing much. The only real item is there is the lamp, but will he ever go back? Spend that time?
Yeah, and it's hard to tell, you know, Geoff's decision there. We did see Geoff do the Death Mountain climb in the dark, so there's definitely familiarity with those dark rooms, but the pod dark room is definitely one of the ones that kind of throws off runners at first. So how comfortable is Geoff with the dark maze and also the dark basement?
I saw a very mean ID from chat that the Eastern Palace big key is in Mire with the flute at the top of Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, these are sometimes, you know, chat can be very conniving.
I thought was it Magic Bats, and there it is. Geoff is going to the Back of Escape. He has not forgotten, and he will be rewarded with a lamp and some love. These players don't really need it, but I know for me, finding a lamp, I always am very happy to find the lamp early because I need it.
I still need a visual cue, so don't feel bad. Like, that is the norm. Being able to just see something is important.
Definitely. Now, these players make a lot of these things look easy, but they really aren't that easy. They just have practiced so much that they can make it look that easy.
I will say this basement room of Pod. If you can get into this room, the turtle room, you're kind of, as long as you got fire rod, you're actually in great shape for this room. Because you just gotta hit one of those torches.
And the light from that torch in the previous room carries over into this one. This last hallway isn't that hard with the hammer. If you need to, you can go a bit slow, but definitely doable. I'm most impressed by players that do Castle Tower in the dark. That's just craziness.
The big thing for Castle Tower I found is the maze room and the pit room, the best way to describe it. But luckily those two rooms do both have torches in them, so just a little above or below the where you enter those rooms, you can actually hit a torch with fire rod. So.
And there is another crystal for Dark Shadows, putting him at the count of 3, tied with Geoff.
2, actually, I think.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the third dungeon clear, but one of them is a pendant.
A very important move to clear that pendant, just based on the fact that our TR big key was in the attic chest of Thieves Town. But Blind and the green pendant did have nothing. The only thing we didn't get to see in Thieves Town was our hammer locked big chest.
So, yeah, Dark Shadow is really just that big key from Easter Palace away from Go mode, while Geoff has a little bit more to find. He's going to need that Ice Rod, the Turtle Rock big key, and I think that is it. That's the only main difference. He of course still needs the Master Sword.
Yeah, and if this is a question of, as we were saying, knowledge of vanilla swords or not, could be a little while before we see a check for that second sword.
And Darkshadow is going to Desert Palace now. Going to clear that. I'm a bit surprised that he goes here first and not Swamp. Swamp is kind of on the way.
I think this is a question of, Desert Palace is relatively a quicker clear at this point. You're going to pull the big chest and then head straight for Landmo. If Landmo has that Eastern big key, you can go mode 2 of the longer dungeons in this game.
That's fair. Yeah, I was mostly thinking that Swamp is on the way, but of course, if he finds that Eastern big key, then he can indeed just go mode it, making it a lot faster. He does skip the big chest though. Has he already found 2 items? Well, 3 items. I don't think so.
I don't believe so either.
He's doubting.
This could also be a realization of, if it's on Landmo, I don't have to go back for that key, that big chest anyway.
Well, I get that it was right there, though. I think you'd lose more time if the item is not on land mode than what you'll lose if it's if he had checked and it is on land mode. Take it a 50-50, and then going for the one that would lose you the most time if it fails. Although it wouldn't lose you that much time.
True.
And Geoff has picked up the Tower of Hera big key, so when he does go there, he will be able to check that big chest. We know it contains an item, but not what item. And if that contains the Eastern Palace big key, that could be a major thing for Geoff. But odds are small.
Yeah, I think, I don't know how Dark Shadows will approach this, but I think there's reason to believe that Dark Shadows could say, I'm gonna do what I can in GT, and if I don't find it, maybe before or after I climb GT, I also make that play for the Hera Big.
And there's the big key, big chest check that we were talking about. Of course, it is only a boomerang, the red boomerang that Geoff already has, but Dark Shadows didn't know that. Dark Shadows did indeed also not check the big chest in Thieves Town, but of course he did not have the hammer back then, so he could not.
Yeah, we're getting to a lot of little single checks around the map. We also haven't seen the back portion of Skull Woods. We did see the front, of course, but nothing from the back side. But we have seen everything in Pod, Eastern, that was possible. We saw all of Ice, we saw all of Swamp and Desert, so... And I think in terms of overworld checks, there's only a few things left, and I know one of them is Spike Cave, and I'm not sure if there's anything else major at this point.
That's another thing that surprised me. When Geoff went up there, he could have checked Spike Cave. He had Blue Cane, I mean. He had the hammer. It's right there. Yes, it was a red potion, I think, on the race game.
Yeah, our runners did have that safety for quite a while, so luckily Geoff was able to save that for now, and they were down to such, real dangerous situation coming into the Helmosaur fight.
And also thank God that Geoff has filled up his heart so that beeping can stop.
I must say that's one of my favorite options when, setting up for a race. Half or quarter speed. Oof. I don't know how people play with double.
Double speed, oof, crazy. I mean, the vanilla speed's already way too high. These races are already stressful enough. You don't need more. And that's crystal number 4 for Geoff.
And it looks like Dark Shadows is actually going to still do left side, even one item from Go mode. I wouldn't disagree with skipping this left side check, but at this point, maybe just playing it a little bit safer. Saying, hey, this is going to be probably the best way to do this. I can diver down it, so why not?
Definitely with diver down. I absolutely agree with this play because Swamp Palace has so many items. One more because the big key not being inside here. The chance of there being an item there or 2 items there is very high, and you don't want to have to go back there in case you didn't find all the items after you kill the boss, because that loses you about just as much time as you would doing it if, of course, the diver down would happen a bit more smoothly. There it goes, he's got it.
Yeah, for anybody who's curious about some of the controls going on when you're performing a diver down, it's pretty much as soon as you hit the water, you're holding down and right at that exact moment, and you let go of the down press, and then that kind of clips you into the rail just slightly to then be able to work your way the rest of the way.
Yeah, you need to be actually holding down and right already while the jump animation is happening, and you have only like less than half a second, I think it is, to switch to pressing to only right. It's just a very smooth transition with the arrows, almost as if you're trying to enter a special move in a fighter game.
Now, Darkshadows had a very different way of getting through those blocks, using the hook shot to clip through the blocks. I've seen a few runners do that. Always surprises me, rather than pushing blocks, taking a chance on getting the hook clip, but sure.
Smooth Hera pot with bomb there by Geoff. And now one of the moments of truth, that big chest. It's the flute.
No.
This could be big. This could be big. That flute unlocks Mire, Mire itself, Mire Shed, and Checkerboard. That if anywhere in those locations there's the Eastern Palace big key, that could swing this entire race majorly into Geoff's favor.
Yeah, and in Darkshadows, for Darkshadow, you are gonna climb Death Mountain last. Like, you are climbing Death Mountain to clear TR.
Absolutely.
And go into GT. Getting the flute out of Hera is not gonna deter you from checking GT at all.
I absolutely agree. Yeah, but that's why it's a big if. If the Eastern Palace key is there, it's a major thing for Geoff. If it is not, that might actually lead Geoff on a wild goose chase. That is something he absolutely does not need. Darkshadow's having some trouble there with that diver down. Looks like he doesn't have the movement quite as smooth as he needs to. You need to be really quick to enter that movement. Like, by the time you have the splash animation happening, you all need to transition to aiming to the right side. It's pretty crazy how fast you need to be. He's got it though. Opting to eventually just do the movement-based version, which relies on a certain one-frame movement into the block.
Meanwhile, Geoff is heading into TR, it looks like, and it was Bombos, so that Quake Medallion not required, at least yet, but since we do have all three, no worries.
And you have to confirm what chat is saying. Only the big keys are shuffled. Nothing else. Compasses, maps, and small keys all in their respective dungeons.
And unfortunately for Geoff, this will become a double dip of TR. Had not checked out Magic Bat to get that Ice Rod. Yeah,
that Magic Bat's still waiting on... that Magic Bat's still holding that Ice Rod. Is going to slow him down quite a bit, because even if you some dungeons, if you double dip them, you don't lose that much time, because you can skip quite a bit the second time around. But Turok being so linear, there's not much time you save going in again.
Yeah, there is the possibility, that we could see a portal preservation, but I don't know if we're going to see that from Geoff on this one.
Very nice fast hook shot drop there.
Oh, and good point from Cool Papa Bell. Yes, Geoff does not have the TR big, so at least Geoff will not be going through all of TR. We'll get blocked a little bit earlier, so not completely having to clear everything.
And when he does eventually go to Thieves Town, but the question is when. What's in that big chest there? I mean, the big chest in Hera Tower can already be a very big thing. This can still go every which way, like most random seeds.
And actually, I just realized we do have an item here in Ice Palace we didn't check.
Did he not do Ice Tea Room?
Yeah, Geoff did not check the iced tea room. I don't know if we confirmed whether or not it was going to be a key or something else, but we
I
at least
remember a
didn't
key.
see it.
I remember a key dropping from Goldstair himself, if I remember correctly. But I also didn't count the items in Ice Palace, so... Well, we can try to follow here. We've got one item here. Ice Palace normally containing 3 items and 2 small keys from chests. Of course, that means 4 items, considering that the big key is not in here. And we're going to see a door state extension there. Very smooth.
I'm going to be really happy finding the half magic in Ice Palace as well. Even with Master Sword, half magic will make Cold Stare a lot better.
Wait, what was the item he just picked up in Icebreaker Room?
I believe it was... Was that a small key?
Half magic being then the second item. So there's 2 more items in here. There's the map. Very nice spin clip by Darkshadows there. Gets a compass. And he looks to be going around, so he's gonna drop here, and then he can use the hook to go around and get into Ice Tea Room without using a key. Or not, he's not he's just going straight down to Ice Tea Room right away.
We have the silver arrows out of Mimic Cave, so I do expect at the we haven't seen that Eastern Big Key still, and that was a single arrow out of the Iced Tea Room. So
the Arrow of Destiny.
So we will expect Darkshadows to find those silver arrows. And Geoff getting the unfortunate news or reminder: don't have that big key. We are locked out of TR.
So let's see what he does next. He does have that flute. So will he? He's probably going to go activate it, and then, well, actually, if he's going to go activate it, I'm expecting him to do Magic Bat while he's there. He's had that power pretty much the whole game, burning a hole in his pockets. It's time to hand that in.
Yeah, and hopefully this also becomes, hammer pegs and the smith. The hammer pegs we haven't actually seen yet from either of our runners. And the smiths we know will have Geoff's Master Sword. And Darkshadows just decimates Cold Stare there. All those fire rod shots down really fast. And that is now Darkshadows' 5th crystal. So we'll see a play up to TR at this point.
Absolutely.
So that a 6th crystal, and likely a play into GT at 6 crystals to try and find that Eastern Big Key.
Yeah, he cleared those 3 dungeons, Desert Palace, Swamp Palace, and Ice Palace quickly, all 3 in a row. So now it's time to go up north and check out what's there. And here, like you said exactly, he is picking up that smith, getting that chain for the Master Sword. Of course, does he remember that it's vanilla swords? Maybe he realized it again later, or maybe he's just hoping to get the item he needs from here. Smitchin, of course, unlocking that purple chest that, as far as he knows, could contain the key he needs.
And it's definitely going to be a bit before we see another sword. I doubt either of our runners will be pulling pedestal anytime soon. And that Pyramid Fairy the fact that our second 5/6 is TR means very unlikely we're going to see it.
Unless they haven't found Eastern Palace key still after having done Ganon's Tower. The mushroom didn't deliver anything either for Dark Shadows, just a big 20. Has he done hammer pegs? I don't think so. There, okay, he's pulled out the hammer, and I love the hammer charge.
And it looks like Dark Shadows might be also heading for hammer pegs, and I wonder if this seems like a very interesting kind of route to possibly also do Thieves Town. I don't know if this is the play, but it feels out of the way.
I absolutely agree. Turtle Rock has so many chests in it that could contain that Eastern Palace biggie. I understand the want of wanting to go up there and clear Ganon's Tower right after having cleared Turtle Rock, but you need the key.
Yeah, there's a big argument to be made here that you play the density game and you just go straight up to the mountain and TR and GT. But Dark Shadows is really trying to put that move off, really hoping to find the Eastern Big Key down here off the mountain.
Chat making a fair point that the Pyramid Fairy is actually only one check, because one of them will be sword. I'm a bit surprised by this play as well. Going into Thieves Town now, he's already cleared it. He knows he's just missing the big chest. Could this be a play because he feels behind, perhaps, and he needs to make a big swing?
Yeah, I don't agree with this move.
Yeah, this is definitely one I want to. This is definitely one I want to ask him about after the race.
We did see, actually, Dark Shadows is the only runner who did check the GT entrance. When Geoff was on Dark Death Mountain, he did not check the shed. Or, I'm sorry, did not check the GT entrance. We are getting Meyer Shed, though, from Geoff.
The shed was on your mind.
And there was nothing in it.
And just a big 20 in the big chest in Thieves Town.
And I think we might see a Meyer play, even if Geoff pulls the Eastern Big Key out of checkerboard here. It's not unreasonable to believe that Geoff might go into Meyer because we still also are missing TR Big Key on Geoff's side.
He definitely is. Well, doesn't look like there's the Meyer play. It looked like he thought he pressed the button for the flute, but did not. And a Back-a-Skull Woods play looks like the answer Dark Shadows has come up with. I partially understand for the fact that he's nearby, and without a flute, it's all not that fast to get around. But I still would think he would go for the Turtle Rock play here.
Yeah, this is a string of last locations that, very much a gamble, and I don't remember where we saw it, but one of our audience members said it's very safe.
Sorry, what is very safe?
clearing everything before making the play up there.
Absolutely, yeah. And if the Eastern Palace big key ends up being in Turtle Rock, this is all just time lost. A couple of small checks here that Geoff hasn't done yet. These won't deliver him anything though, most of them have just rupees in them. Darkshadow fighting Mothula with the Master Sword. Thank God he's got half magic and that Fire Rod, making it a lot easier.
Very nicely done on that Moth kill. Luckily, not the worst movements from Mothula.
But that as well does not deliver him anything. Well, dependent, but not really going to be using that, hopefully.
So yeah, we're down to only a few choices here. It's either the back portion of Turtle Rock, or Big Key chest to the back, or it is in GT, or it is Pyramid Fairy. I think at this point, those are our real only options left.
Geoff heading up Death Mountain. I think he might be on his way to go check the requirement on Ganon's Tower. He did not check it earlier, and he has the 5 crystals, so he might not be thinking, maybe I can get in there, and my answer lies in there, but he will be sorely disappointed.
I wonder if Geoff's play here is, though, instead the Ether Tablet. Didn't check it with that book, I believe. Oh,
Right.
and Spike Cave. We didn't get this one.
Which I thought Geoff would really have done Spike Cave when he was up here, one of those other things, because he had all the capabilities. But there's just going to be some cash on that Ether Tablet. The Skullwood's Bicky. Oh man, I saw the Bicky and I was like, yes, this is it. Both players gotta grab that, because Geoff's most likely gonna do that right now. But that is gonna lead to nothing. Well, maybe not nothing. Did we get all items in Skullwoods, or is there still an item waiting in that big chest?
I'm trying to think. I know we had seen at least we have seen all the small keys. But I'm trying to think if we did see all the items at this point. Or if we saw a map and compass. Yeah, I know we have at least seen 2 items out of Skull. I just don't remember if we saw the third.
There was a bow, I remember that. There was bombs from Mothula. And there may have been a piece of hearts, if I recall. If that's the case, then that should be everything. And Darkshadow is now doing the play that we were all expecting just a little bit sooner. While Geoff mirrors Dark's previous play.
In some ways, not finding the big key before now means Darkshadows will be finding the silver arrows out of Mimic Cave. I think the only thing that could disrupt that is if Darkshadows decides to pull the TR Big Chest first, and the TR Big Chest has the Eastern Big Key. But there's a very high likelihood that we will see the silver arrows. And Geoff is turning in that Skullwood's big chest. And there's our confirmation.
So yeah, my memory was right for once. Actually remembering the bow, the bombs, and the heart piece. Deep Down, of course, still has much more available for Geoff because he has only checked the front 4 chests. And there's, of course, the green pendant that he does not know what it gives.
Yeah, the one advantage really for Geoff here is that flute find. Hasn't really paid off with Checkerboard or Mireshed, but there is a chance that Geoff goes into Mire sooner. And if the Eastern Palace Big Key is in Mire, maybe there's, an opportunity there.
But I'm paying very close attention to what Dark Shadow is doing. Every chest he opens, I don't want to miss a thing. Because I feel like that's what's going to decide the game here. Is that Eastern Palace Big Key in Turtle Rock, or is it in Misery Mire? On the other hand, the longer Geoff puts off doing Thieves Town for Turtle Rock, eventually Dark Shadows will just go up Hera. There's a good chance he might, if he doesn't find Eastern Palace Big Key here, he might just go up Hera for that big chest. He did spend the time to go and check the big chest just in Thieves Town, and as well as the back of Skull Woods. So it would make sense that he would also spend the time to go and get that big chest.
Yeah, I think it's, whether we see Dark Shadows go into GT first and clear all the basement. Worst case, I clear GT basement, mirror out, check Hera big chest, and then do my GT climb.
That's fair. That basement, of course, is I forgot about it for a moment.
Yeah, 23 locations down there at this point, given the fact that we do have the big key.
Now I'm wondering, would you not just clear it while you're there, and not just check the basement?
Oh, so what I'm saying is, you go in, you clear the basement. If you don't find it, you go into Hera, grab the big chest, and if you still won't have it. You still climb GT and clear it.
Because of course clearing it takes you away from there. Yeah, I follow.
Yeah.
And there's the silvers for Dark Shadow in that Mimic Cave, like you said. As we expected.
And we're going to get a ped check from Geoff, and I think this kind of is a bit of a confirmation on one of our thoughts early on that, the fact that this is a Vanilla Swords was not noticed on Geoff's side. Definitely one of those things that if you don't play this mystery too much, it's one of the settings that can definitely trip a lot of runners up.
There's a cape there in Turtle Rock. I totally missed that when Geoff went in there.
Geoff wasn't able to pull that without the big key.
All right, he wasn't able to go that far.
Yeah.
There's one advantage that newer random players have. They get used to the newer settings much more easily because it's all new to them. While people haven't played for a longer, when there's new settings, new possibilities, muscle memory and habits really work against you there. But that's pretty much the only advantage that newer runners have. They have a lot of practice to catch up on usually.
We're seeing Laser Bridge, and unfortunately Laser Bridge isn't going to have our big key. We did get another piece of safety in that red bottle, but no Eastern Palace big key still. So at this point, it is either Mire, GT, or Pyramid Fairy.
Trinex? Or have all items been found?
Sorry, Trinex is a possibility as well. GT is 6, Ganon is 7.
Alright. Wait, somebody's saying not Pyramid Ferry. Are we missing something? Why can it not be Pyramid? Oh, because Eastern Palace and Turtle Rock are
Oh
the 5-6
wow, I
crystals.
completely forgot that one.
So chat keeping us up on our toes.
Given that, we might not ever see another sword in this run.
I don't know, if I was Dark Shadows and I end up clearing Ganon's tower before I've done Eastern Palace, I would consider picking up the bomb before making my way back to the pyramid just to get that tempered sword into the Ganon fight. Although he does have, never mind. I was saying he has silvers now. I was thinking still silverless. With silvers, the Master Sword is not much of a problem. Seen some hammer strats on Trinex. Very smooth by Dark Shadows. Wow.
Yeah, and just a reminder, this is our last race of Week 5 of the Open League Mystery Week. Oh, and we had seen all the items, so... Yep, we're down to just... Well, we're down to GT and Meyer. Oh, is Invitational also done? I did not realize their schedule had also cleared. But here we go. GT it is. Week 6 will be all Dungeons Key Sanity, starting tomorrow. We had Pilot for Week 4. And then Week 7 will, of course, be the Co-op Enemizer. And Dark Shadows is going to check Hera, get that big chest. Nicely done on the Hera pot using the hook speed. So Dark Shadows will get the flute and hopefully just head right into GT. And once again, I am wrong. Dark Shadows, I guess, is going to go activate the flute and possibly head over to Meyer? Wow, this is... I don't know how to describe this play. Definitely a very... We saw Dark Shadows open up GT. So from the question of did Dark Shadows forget that they had access to GT? I can't imagine he did. He opened up GT and just checked Hera, got the flute, and said, "I'm gonna go do this." I'm not sure I agree with this kind of play. As we've been saying, it's a very safe move, but not from if you're looking to just go for it, GT is the play. We do know the pedestal is a sword. This is a vanilla sword seed. And I completely agree with the assessment. We can't know that our Eastern Palace Big Key is there inside of GT, but at this point, I think that's the play you make. Given how much you've done, you almost have to play for that as being your final item. And yeah, this is also a difficult move. You know, if you're not used to the reduced crystal GT, or a situation where go mode can be in GT when you already have that big key, it's not going to be weighing on the front of your mind as like go in. But we are seeing Mire, so these are new checks from Dark Shadows. Interestingly, Dark Shadows is heading straight for Vitreous in this case. And as Vortex is pointing out, you know, is this more about the sword? And if that's the case, I'm curious. Because at the same time, I think getting the sword off of Pyramid Fairy after being able to clear Eastern Palace would be more valuable. I mean, if it's not here on Vitreous, I have to assume, given Dark Shadow's caution in this race, that he will head back into Mire and try to find what's left on the left side. And yep, just a small key on Vitreous. So I have to assume Dark Shadows will be returning to Mire and checking the rest of the dungeon. And in case anybody's curious, we did see Lumberjack early on, so this will not turn into an oops all dungeons. The Lumberjack is not the answer for this seed. Meanwhile, Geoff is heading into the Trinex fight without that Tempered Sword, and going for Master Sword swings. This is going to be a little bit, it's a little bit trickier of a fight, but very nicely done so far. Should be able to get through it just fine. And then, this could be a big turnaround if Geoff heads into GT at this point. Just having to play this very safe. Unfortunately, running low on magic. Do not want to waste a shot, and with low health as well. And unfortunately, that third neck catching Geoff on that one. Luckily, Geoff did pick up the safety door, so we'll be right there and able to. Also has powder. So should be able to get back up to full health if so desired. Yeah, Trinex without Tempered Sword can be a much more difficult fight, and so taking that safety door, if you don't feel comfortable with that, will save you a lot of time if anything goes wrong. Meanwhile, Dark Shadows is clearing up the rest of Mire. Heart container up on that torches room, and we all are going to get to see cutscene chests as well. But through all of the through both heads, so on to the final portion of Trinex, and that is it for Mire. No Eastern Palace Big Key. So this is confirmed to be a GT Eastern Palace Big. But first, Dark Shadows is heading for that level 3 sword off of pedestal. So we didn't think we were going to see one, but we are going to get a pedestal pull for this seed. Yeah, and this could be a huge turnaround for Geoff. If Geoff heads into GT, then I stand corrected. It looks like instead Geoff is going to be making a play for Mire as well. As we know, Geoff, I don't believe, has actually checked the GT entry requirement. So is probably unaware that GT is open. Yeah, this is a question of, knowing your modes, knowing what can come up in Mystery Week. When we talked earlier about the settings and what mystery means, one of the big settings that is catching a lot of people is GT crystal requirements being lower than Ganon requirements, and thus GT possibly having items required to complete a seed. So yeah, somewhere between 1 and 27, we're going to find an Eastern Palace Big Key. It's almost like a GT Big Key guessing game, but just a little bit more spicy. So I see a lot of numbers coming in. Obviously, no bot for this one, but we'll definitely keep track of the numbers and hopefully give an accurate count as to where we find the Eastern Palace Big. Dark Shadows starting off left side, so we're going to see that torch and probably also the Dark Magician Stalfos room. You see 10 hours on the torch. There, we're through 5 so far. Yeah, we did collect most of the small keys for GT very early. Nothing so far with number 6. I'm surprised we didn't get a hope room check early. That's a very normal place to go looking when you're just hoping for one item. There's number 7. So our goal is, yeah, we're just looking for Eastern Palace Big Key. It is a 6 crystal GT, 7 crystal, not fast Ganon. Our runners are clearing everything but have been avoiding GT. So yes, Mystery Week is going out with a bang here as we are looking for one key. No, it cannot. This is just a big key shuffle. So the 2 chests in the castle tower will both be small keys. Here is a very rare check. We are going to see the GT big chest, and it's just a small key. We are through 12 checks of GT. $14, $15, and $16 upcoming. 14 is a bottle. 15, red rupee. 16, blue rupee. We're back to the beginning. Right side it is. And yes, the great question, are we going to see validation chest? Not hope room. And it looks like Dark Shadows is going to actually do Tile Room. As always, implement or using the very nice clean strategy of just equipping the cape, grabbing a wall, and holding on. Why not? You know, save all that magic. Very safe way through this. But no, so that is number 19. We've got 4 left here on the basement portion before we have to climb GT for this. Using bombs instead of the Cane of Samari to get through there, given how low magic we were, not a terrible idea. And wow, this is... We are still short a big key. 23 checks down. We are down to just the 4 at the top of the tower. And our audience here, all the chat, definitely rooting for validation chest. No, we have full cleared everything. There isn't a check we haven't seen in this seed. Every dungeon, we checked the big chests, we checked all the small chests. There is nothing we haven't seen up to this point. But Geoff has cleared Misery Mire for their third pendant. I wonder if we are going to see a ped pull very soon. But given that Geoff has not checked the GT entrance to know it's only a 6 crystal GT, I'm very curious if they realize what this seed might be telling them they have to do. And yes, that is the case right now. Geoff is heading back into Ice Palace. Unfortunately, Geoff did not do Ice Tea Room his first trip into this dungeon, and is thus going to head for Ice Tea. And at this point, we know this seed wasn't beatable. This is really an all-inventory seed, at least. As Darkshadows does get to that 6th floor and the second of our torch rooms, and we've got those 2 chests with the mini helmas. Is it here? 25 is our number. Chest number 25 in the mini Helmasaur room. That is go mode officially for Darkshadows59. And just scrolling up to see if we had any guesses of 25. I see some 27s, some 26, some 24. I do see from Olkesh 25, going with 25. Lucky number there. And at this point, it looks like Darkshadows is just saying, I am finished with this seed. Please let me go. So we are getting our Aga 2 fight. Good old geometry test. I believe that second phase was only going to count as a single. Unfortunately, you know, if you do get multiple hits, but they occur at the same time, it will only count as one. But, okay, maybe I was wrong. But very nice finish of Aga 2 there. So, Darkshadows will have to head over to Eastern Palace, take down our Almost Knights, and then we can head back to take down Ganon. And Darkshadows looks like they're going to run over to Eastern Palace. Oh, setting up a portal, actually. Interesting choice here.
So Darkshadows is going to be clearing Eastern Palace as Ice Palace is being cleared by Geoff. Yes, I am back. No, Ice Palace has already been cleared. He's just exited there and found that last item in Ice Tea Room. Hello, please tell me, where was that Eastern big key?
Mini Helmasaur room of GT. It has been quite a ride. Welcome back to my co-commentator, Rive. Yeah, we 25 checks in GT for that Eastern Palace big key. Along the way, we saw both of our runners decide to full clear Misery Mire. And we actually got a head pull from Darkshadows.
We got a head pull from Darkshadows. I'm surprised that Darkshadows decided to clear Mire entirely before clearing out Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, we were. A lot of the chat was going with the same question of why are we seeing all these, this thoroughness when there's so much density up there? And unfortunately, we saw Dark Shadows pull that flute out of Hera, and rather than still heading into GT after they opened it up, he decided, no, I'm going to save and quit and head for Mire, and did a full clear of the Mire area. So
that's still odd to me, because you have to clear Ganon's Tower anyway. You're there anyway, and if you flute, and actually fluting away to come back and clear it later is going to lose you even more time, because okay, you clear the Ganon's Tower, you end up on the pyramid, and then you mirror from there and flute. Getting back to the pyramid is faster than getting back to Ganon's Tower.
exactly. So yeah, unfortunately, both of our runners kind of staying away from GT for so long has really extended this race, and it really could have gone either way. Geoff cleared TR while Dark Shadows was in Misery Mire, and if Geoff had gone into GT, we might be having a very different conversation here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my two major questions I want to ask Dark Shadows after the race. Why his choices were that he went to Ganon's Tower after Misery Mire despite being there, and as well as in why spending so much time in Thieves Town and Skull Woods when Turtle Rock was available, as well as Canon Towers as soon as he cleared Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and unfortunately on Geoff's side, it appears Geoff is unaware of the GT entry at this point.
He has still not checked that, because I recall not so long before I disconnected that he did pick up the Aether tablet and went into Tower of Hera. I'm surprised that he didn't check it while he was up there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Geoff hasn't looked at the GT sign, so I don't think they realize that this is a reduced crystal GT. So that's definitely one of those modes that when you aren't ready for it, it will throw you off. And it's making a big difference here.
Absolutely, and it's something to definitely keep in mind, because there's actually only in a normal mode, I call it normal because it's not Triforce Hunt and not Entrance Randomizer. In normal mode, there's only a 25% chance that Ganon's Tower will require 7 crystals. That means 75% chance for reduced crystals on Ganon's Tower.
But we do have Darkshadows59 dropping in on the Ganon fight. So I'm expecting we'll probably have above 200 item check on the seed, I think, at this point.
It might just be. Especially because I expect they cleared out every single item in Ganon's Tower itself.
Yeah.
Except maybe the chest after Moldorm.
The two after. We had two. We didn't see the chest right before Moldorm and the chest right after Moldorm.
Yeah, so there's a couple of choices from Dark Shadow that could have gotten Geoff into the game here, but indeed, he also clearing Misery Mire is, I think, the biggest difference that it could have been, because if he had skipped that while Dark Shadow went in there, then he could have really gotten ahead, and that's kind of how I see it. Dark Shadow making some questionable plays for that routing, but Geoff making the same choices.
Oh no!
Wait! Oh no! He went
Shadow's
too far.
holding up against as Ganon is exploding and falls off before the bridge spawns. Wow, that's a rough one there. That is. No. I know that feeling. I've done it personally on a restreamed race. It is a rough one to have to go through.
Wait, was that by any chance during SG Live?
Luckily, no. I did it during a daily.
Oh, I remember that happened actually on my very first race that I commentated. I obviously didn't know what to say at that time, but yeah, no premature GZs. Of course, he is so far ahead that he will just be able to clear Ganon again with that tempered and that silver, easy peasy. Yeah, as I was saying, that if the questionable choices from Darkshadow, but Geoff not gaining any time because he makes those same choices. And the dreaded heartbeeps are back.
As Darkshadows is in that Ganon fight again, working through Phase 3, and will be on to Phase 4 momentarily.
Nice throws glitch again. And a nice double.
And there's that last arrow to finish off Ganon. And this time standing well short of the gap. Don't want to chance it again. And Darkshadow should be across that bridge momentarily.
And let's get some GGs in chat for real this time.
And Darkshadows has officially finished this race with a racetime.gg time of 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 26 seconds. Once again, GG's to Darkshadows59. We will see if we can get Darkshadows in here for an interview just to go over things. And it looks like, yes, we are joined by Darkshadows59. GG's.
GG's.
Hey, thanks. Oh, I thought that was going to be close because I looked like when I was in Eastern, it's like, how is there not a dot done? How is there not a dot done yet?
Well, we're definitely going to talk about how that happened. Before everything, I would like to ask you just your initial thoughts on this seed.
So, even though I saw the GT requirement was 6, it increases the chances that important items are in GT, but it's still not extremely likely. So the fact that Go mode was essentially last location at the top of the tower, that was pretty trash.
So yeah, that was one of the big questions. You know, you got that flute out of Hera, and it was a question of, you know, the 6 items in the Mire area versus all of GT. You know, what was the thought process there? Especially, we saw you go directly to Vitreous, and then pull that master or the pedestal for a sword. So
I could have comfortably killed Ganon on just a Master Sword Silverless if that was required. And, you know, seeing that second sword, I was fairly certain that was vanilla swords. But, you know, going to Vitreous first, I figure, you know, there's a chance Vitreous has my key. If he doesn't, then I pull the ped and use the sword to hopefully make up time.
The Temper Sword definitely saves you time on the Ganon fight, but leveraged against a run all the way through to Vitreous, I don't think that quite weighs up, unless of course he holds the key and then, well, then it all was of course the way you needed to go. I was mostly wondering as to why the choice, because you needed to do the Ganon's Tower anyway, and you were up there, and there was the chance. Was it just because you didn't want to? It's because you just wanted to be able to go through Ganon's Tower as if Go mode?
Yeah, like it takes a decent chunk of time to check the entire basement, and if you can just Go mode it, that's a couple minutes off right there. Of course, it turns
yeah, I mean,
out...
it's a fair idea. I can see the idea there. Just you know, it's a lot of time in terms of the minutes added for a Death Mountain climb as well. So that was kind of the surprise there.
And yeah, Gannon Tower does take a significant amount of time, but it also has a significant amount of items checks. So that's where the question, of course, came from. Similar to that, when you had 5 crystals, you were capable of going up to Turtle Rock, which of course also has a bunch of items. We were expecting you to go to Turtle Rock, and if that didn't have it, Big Key Hera, and if that didn't have what you needed, then Ganon's Tower. But before you even went to Turtle Rock, you decided to check that big chest in Thieves Town as well as the back of Skullwoods. Was that a similar thought pattern, or was there something else that led you that way?
The big chest of Thieves Town was definitely a gamble. Like, it was a total of 3 items, but it was a lot more time consuming. But I was also looking at, if it's there, like, if I leave that I'm doing Turtle Rock, Tower of Hera, all of Thieves Town, and it's like it was kind of a, if I make the time investment on the mountain and I'm wrong, I was thinking that would be more of a lost time investment than going for those checks. And I might be wrong on that, but that's the choices you make sometimes.
Yeah, I can't, sometimes those gambles do pay off, but I think, a lot of our chat as well is kind of pointing out playing the density game probably is the safer way than kind of gambling on all these small density checks, like going through Mire probably is roughly the same time as a GT basement versus other stuff like that. So, a gamble as you did can pay off. It's just the likelihood is not always there numbers wise.
Yeah, usually we do see some of the lower percentage plays being done in case you feel behind, but if you feel decent or even ahead, of course you're gonna go for the general more dense areas that give you the biggest chance of finding it and expecting that your opponent will be going that way as well. Is it that you fell behind at those times that maybe motivated your reason to go there, or was it just in the spur of the moment?
I felt like I had enough execution mistakes that I possibly was behind. So it was, if what I was looking for was there, then there was the possibility that I take a huge lead there. I also was kind of gambling on just the GT junk fill algorithm, because even though it rolled 6, I think it still fills about like 12 to 15 junk items, I think. So that's still about items that could have been important item slots, which means about 7 items that could have been the big key.
It doesn't make it less items per minute. Less possible items that are worth something per minute, but still a very large chunk of items there. To answer chat, by the way, Geoff did not forget about his big key. He just wanted to do the rest of his basement before going upstairs, but ran out of magic, and so he went up to fill up a bunch of blue potions.
Yeah, and unfortunately, instead of doing a mirroring to the front to respawn the full magic refill, instead decided to do that save and quit.
Yeah, that collection rate was kind of and don't forget,
wow, I really thought we were going to get over 200 on that one.
Hey, if I picked up everything I left behind, it probably would be over 200.
Yeah, this scene was
didn't
definitely
think that much.
Now, for you to know, the main reason why, like, you say you fell behind. Oh no, he got bumped into the Wallmaster.
Oh.
Sorry. So Darkshadow, the main reason that you, despite thinking how is Emerald Scene not done it and ending up ahead, is you did get somewhat of a lead, and that lead you never lost any of that because that play from Misery Mire, Geoff making about the same play, which that could have swung it around if he had gone into Ganon's Tower immediately after Turtle Rock. That could have switched the positions around, but him doing the same play, since he's just chasing you, unless there is a big difference in execution, he's of course not gonna gain on you.
My question on Geoff right now is, I see he's on Master Sword. Which swords did Geoff get?
Smith and the uncle. Unfortunately, this was one of the things we were kind of talking about a lot during the race was, you know, how much mystery did each of you practice going into this week, and kind of looking into the different mode settings.
To give you an idea how familiar I am with the League Mystery, I knew going in with that this was not entrance shuffle. I knew before the file select screen that this was not entrance shuffle.
Yeah, I try to watch the both runners, you know, see how you approach a title screen, and definitely noticed, especially on your side, you watched the full credit scroll to start, so there was definitely that feeling.
And to us, it was we felt like you were much faster to realize that it was Vanilla Swords with that sword from Uncle, and then that book check on pedestal. And the main reason we thought you went to Smith Chain so fast was because we thought that you had the Master Sword from there, because we thought you knew it was Vanilla Swords.
Yeah, I knew it was there. The reason I didn't go there before, before the dungeons was just I couldn't clear Skull Woods, so the extra sword doesn't help out that much. And then an extra sword doesn't do anything to blind, so just go ahead, do it on Fighter Sword, and then get the Master Sword on the way out.
In the meantime, Geoff is making his way through Ganon's Tower, but we're seeing some odd things, I would say. Lighting torches, spending a blue potion to light a torch that doesn't need to be lit.
Has Geoff done the entirety of the basement?
I believe so. The only thing they might have not checked was I didn't recall seeing the GT big chest, but
did he do Armos Knights?
I thought Geoff had done full left, but I don't know.
I'm pretty sure, unless Geoff opened the middle door, I'm pretty sure they haven't gotten the big chest, just because the big chest was a small key.
Okay, so Geoff did do Ice Armos. He just seems to be not as familiar with the end of the right side. Maybe his usual route doesn't actually take him there, and he just leaves it when he gets that big key.
Right side with that collapsing bridge and that fire bar. Unless you've done it a few times, it's a pain. And even if you have done it, if you don't have a cane or a cape, it's still kind of rough.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those rooms that a lot of you pray to have an invincibility item there when you reach it. So this is, as we were saying, the last race of Mystery Week. Next week, of course, is All Dungeon Key Sanity. What's it look like for Beard Force 1 for next week?
Well, I'll keep a few things close to the vest, but I think we have an idea who's running, and from what I understand, our opponents are actually very excited about this match.
Who's your opponent next week?
Let me double check before I say, because I did get a little bit of confusion between weeks 6 and 7 for our opponents.
Oh, it's
Looks like it's Stoop's Troop. Yes.
That's what I thought. I wanted to make sure, but yeah. yeah, they have both expressed some excitement with racing anyone on our team, and that's that's going to be a good match, I think. I know Bob likes his key sanity. I'm okay with it, and
Preferential to just big key shuffle.
as long as big keys aren't stuck at the top of Gan's tower, which it's going to be 7-7. Only pendant big keys can be up there.
Right. Or castle
that's
tower
still-
keys.
Or castle tower keys, oh yes. But they still can be, at least.
At least we know it's all dungeons, and it's not oops all dungeons.
Fair enough. Definitely agreed there. So Geoff is now into the first of our torch rooms.
Going to be using the lamp because he might not have enough magic if he wants to go the fire rod.
I thought Geoff did have an extra potion, but maybe holding on to it, hoping to not have to use it.
Seeing where he already used his previous ones, I would prefer to hold on to it, but he's gotten really close here and misses that door.
Half magic was definitely a blessing for a few parts of those seeds. Just being able to not have to worry about potions sometimes.
Yeah, I would say, if you watch this back in the early game, your play through Thieves Town actually gave a good advantage finding that TR big key. You got Hammer after Geoff did, but were able to clear Pod and most of Eastern just based on that.
Yeah, while you couldn't clear Eastern at the time, of course, your Pod Eastern play was a bit smoother and gained you some time as over Darkshadow. As over Geoff, I mean.
Yeah, there were a few places on the seed where it just felt like, if anything could go wrong, it felt like it was going wrong, but apparently it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Geoff has now also picked up the Eastern Palace key. It looks like he is determined to finish, unless he has just not checked the race room chat.
I mean, there's still a bit of runner pride to say, you know what, this seed was just trash, but at least I finished it.
It was trash, I must kill it.
The amount of seeds that I've either crewed or ran, where at the end of it, everyone's calling for a dumpster fire. It's larger than I'd like to give credit for.
Yeah, there's definitely that feeling, come this far, I want to see what it is, what do I need to do, what did I miss that might have been needed to finish out a seed. It's an understandable feeling for sure.
2D making a great point. There's no rage slashes, no bombing of chests of Geoff, keeping his composure despite finding this key in a very annoying location.
I'll be honest, the only reason I didn't rage slash bombos, etc. was because Geoff hadn't finished yet.
You just wanted to make sure that any time you could keep was yours. That was very smooth Aga 2 fight by Geoff. And,
yeah, we actually saw both runners had very nice Aga 2s for the seed.
Yeah, the real Aga position just did not want to cooperate with the clones.
Yeah, but yeah, I will say, like, your shots were very good on that. There was at least one double and maybe a triple in there for yours, or a couple of doubles actually.
Yeah, like Geoff may have taken a hit. Sometimes you take hits to make that fight faster.
Especially with the red mail and the amount of hearts you had, taking a couple of hits there was no problem whatsoever. Now, on that topic, since this was the normal settings, quote unquote, there was of course a chance for the hard or expert item pool, which we didn't have. Is that something you prefer, or do you because maybe you're good at it, or do you say no, give me normal? It's just way more comfortable.
As long as I can get an idea of what I'm going into, I mean, I don't have that much of a preference. Like, the moment I found the blue mail, I knew it was on normal. But when I practice Ganon, I actually practice on 3-heart Master Sword Silverless and just give one fairy in a bottle, so it's like, okay, I can take one hit, and that's how I practice Ganon sometimes.
Because if you can do that, you can do anything.
Pretty much.
Were there any settings you kind of didn't want to see at all for this week, or were you pretty much prepared for whatever we got thrown at you?
I would have been okay with anything, but the thing that would have given me a little bit of a startle might have been if it was inverted swordless. #blame Solsky.
I found a lot of. It seems like inverted has kind of been is definitely one of those modes that most runners seem to prefer to avoid.
It's a big logic swap. In most game modes, even when they're special, there's a lot of logic is still close to one another. While inverted, there's a whole new way of thinking about it.
And especially when you add swordless on top of it. Actually, last year's league, my very first match, they made it inverted hard swordless. So,
oh God.
It was a required, I think it was 4-heart hammer blind for the Moon Pearl, with a required 4 to 5-heart hammer Aga tower. You didn't even get the bug net. You had to hammer the balls back at them.
I didn't even know that was possible. Or is that just for swordless?
No, that's just flat possible.
Definitely only a swordless thing. Obviously, if you had a sword, it would be required to get through that curtain. So yeah, small blessings.
Yeah.
And that surprised me because I've heard in the past some people say that bugnet is only required if it's swordless to do Aga. I didn't know that hammer was also an option there.
Yeah, in fact, if you don't have hints on and you read the message that's on the way up the tower, it'll tell you that the balls can be reflected by the bug net or the hammer.
And it looks like Geoff is going to go get that sword off the pedestal. Not a bad idea.
I mean, you've spent that time doing Thieves Town and Skullwoods and Misery Mire. Don't really have anything to show for it other than the one big key for Turtle Rock from the attic of Thieves Town. You want to get something for it. And that is his reward. As he gets mugged.
So one thing that the one debate that the Ped play took away was, after clearing Thieves Town, do you go ahead and open up Pyramid Fairy to get a Tempered Sword for the Ganon fight?
So, and we actually had a lot of discussion about this from the comm and the chat. There was definitely a lot of agreement that if you hadn't have done the Ped poll, that doing Pyramid Fairy right before Ganon might not have been a bad idea.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that one.
And I think we were on the side of probably definitively a better play if you hadn't have found the silver arrows in Mimic Cave.
Yeah. Now, of course, in the theory that I had in my mind, you hadn't cleared Misery Mire, which in the end actually wasn't needed, so the pedestal pull wouldn't have been an option. But in my mind as well, you would have cleared, which ended up being true, you would have cleared Ganon's Tower and then Eastern Palace. So you would have to go back to the pyramid anyway, so you could just walk past the bomb shop to get the sword there. That's kind of how I envisioned that happening, being worth the time. So you have a tempered sword. You don't really lose time that much for going out and raid. The route is it's the same route. It's just a little bit slower.
Yeah, like if it was silverless, then no question you get the tempered. I think the thing that would have made Master versus Tempered about the same time was, having the cape to just wedge yourself in between the wall and Ganon and get those double spins. But I think it still saves you time on Phase 1. Phase 2's the fire bats last long enough that I think you can still get 12.
Of course, with silver arrows, the Master Sword is not that much of a problem in the last phase. But without silver, of course, that is the Tempered Sword is ever so important there. And Geoff is now making his way through Phase 3 of the Ganon fight.
Unfortunately, missing out on the torch glitch. That firebat was looking to bully Geoff.
Yeah, if he had moved upwards at that point, that firebat would have knocked him out, because of course, if you get knocked back, it doesn't matter where you get hit from, you get knocked back in the opposite direction that you yourself are moving.
Yeah, remember, if you don't want knockback, just don't hit a direction. Which is a lot easier said than done, spur of the moment.
Definitely.
Now let's see if Geoff can prevent the mistake that was made on your side, Darkshadows.
Good news, I did the single lamp cycle kill. Bad news is I had to do it twice.
And let's get some GGs in chats for Geoff.
Yeah, Geoff has completed this seed with a racetime.gg time of 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 6 seconds. And with that, that will close down Mystery Week, as we are now joined by Geoff.
GG's.
GG.
GG's.
So Geoff, tell us your initial thoughts about this seed. Let's hear it.
The seed was fine. I think it's a little unfortunate that I had psyched myself up for Key Sanity or Entrance Randomizer or a combination thereof, right? And got all my notes and all this stuff. And it turns out what bit me is forgetting that Ganon's Tower and Ganon have separate crystal requirements. So it is what it is. I mean, I don't actually know how we were stacked up in the moment, when we both had 6 crystals and could access Ganon's Tower, but yeah, I would have liked to actually see the race in which I had to remember that.
Yeah, this kind of just to give a basic rundown. Dark Shadows had a bit of an advantage getting the 6th crystal quite a bit before you did, but based a lot on a full dip of or full clear of Thieves Town for that TR big key early. But I'd say the race got a lot closer because right after Dark Shadows cleared crystal number 6, actually finding the flute in Hera and went off to the Mire area to finish off a bunch of other spare checks. So definitely a chance that it could have gone either way.
both players choosing to go to clear Mire after clearing Turtle Rock, and instead of going into Ganon's Tower, if the choice had come from you, Geoff, but of course you missed it because it has a different crystal requirement. If the choice had come from you to go into Ganon's Tower, that would have made the game swing entirely back into your favor. But lesson learned.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of chalk that one up to a lesson, right?
Yeah, I think what we've heard a lot from runners this week, and tell me if I'm wrong here, is mystery is a very new set to kind of understand, and some of those little flags that we aren't used to because you're used to going into a race knowing everything definitely can throw people off.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's kind of supposed to be Chaos Week, I assume, right, where anything can happen, as opposed to a sort of more straightforward thing, and I think it definitely delivers that, as you mentioned. I think that, in particular, it tends to be harder for newer runners, just because there are for people that are just sort of trying to master the basic techniques of running the game, etc. Maybe this is their first league participation, all of a sudden trying to internalize how to route key sanity, how to route all these things, and preparing for all its possibilities makes it much harder for those players. So I think I don't think that's a reason not to do anything like that. I think it's fair. It's just it makes for a very interesting it makes for a very interesting week.
Yeah, I will say, I think from a lot of the newer runners, I think there's definitely an argument to be made that it was a great way to expose runners to new possibilities of rando. So
if you wanted to or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know I learned a lot this week, both from my own practice this race and also watching other races. So
yeah, the one other mode setting I kind of want to ask about is Vanilla Swords. Did that kind of come across, or was that something that went across your mind at a certain point in this one?
No, I mean, I kind of figured that it was that when I was doing my fourth fighter sword boss or whatever, and I actually had a lot of fun with that. I thought it made it interesting and puts pressure on the other item strategies for beating bosses. I just kind of, as a joke, having done all the pendants and with the race over, went to go get the tempered sword for Ganon just from the pedestal, just as a kick. But
well, both of you pulled pedestal, so the audience definitely got a great time with that.
The sort of backdoor pedestal seed.
Yeah, we had a nearly oops all dungeons.
Yep.
What do you mean nearly?
Well, we didn't get Castle Tower.
Ah, fair.
Which does bring us to the other piece of this is next week is all dungeon key sanity. Anything you want to share in terms of Ambiguously Canon content and what's going to happen there?
I believe that I'll have to check our sort of group chat, but I believe that I'm not running that week. So I'm looking forward to seeing both Volt and Brekar do that one. And we in particular had a lot of fun practicing for the piloted key sanity last week or a couple weeks ago. And so, I'm excited to see how that week plays out.
Yes, and your team is up against Link Finds a Way.
An incredible team name, by the way.
It's my favorite team name. Yes, absolutely.
Paired with the logo for that team, there's definitely some fun to that one.
Yeah, can't wait.
I've seen a lot of very original team names. It's all the people in this league. There's so many teams. This league is such an amazing thing of so many people coming together, and it's grown with every season. I'm really looking forward to these playoffs for both Open and Invitational. Is so much to learn for everybody and so much to watch.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of close races this week. We've got 2 weeks left of the regular season for both leagues. In terms of what that means for the Open League specifically, top 2 teams from each division will be making the playoffs in the Open League. So keep an eye out for a lot of races over the next 2 weeks because none of these divisions are really that decided, and a lot of teams can look to play spoiler or claw their way into a playoff spot.
And even once we get into the playoffs, there will still be so many matches. It's not as many teams, but each playoff level has best out of 5. So there's going to be so many matches still, even when we're done with week 7.
Yeah, and the big thing here, talking when it comes to this open league is top 4 teams of the open league are able to secure an invitation to next season's invitational league. So, if you're in this league and looking to really start making splashes into those bigger names, that's your avenue, and a lot of teams are vying for those 4 spots right now. And we have the same collection rate from both sides, 195 for both Dark Shadows and Geoff.
Oh wow!
Now
What are the odds, huh?
There's 2 chests that Geoff opened in Ganon's Tower. Which chest did Geoff not open that Dark Shadow got?
I know the answer. It was the big chest for me that I did not open.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, I considered opening after the race had been decided, opening the Pyramid Fairy just to do it, just to push that collection rate up a little higher. I think this is the highest individual collection rate I've ever had in any run, like race or practice. So it's a fun.
Yeah,
scene.
we were surprised. I thought we were going to really push 200 here.
This collection hate is higher than I have, and I'm bad at the game.
Yeah, it seems to be like that sometimes.
As you can see now on your screens, we do have the schedules for both our open invitational leagues. You can see already for tomorrow, we have quite a few races scheduled on both ALTTPR League 1 and 2. So definitely check these out, starting with some, we've got a morning race, and then we have at 11:10 a.m., and then we've got one at 1:10, another at 6:10, and finally a 4th race tomorrow on at 8:10. So a lot of 80 keys action for the open league, currently undecided on the invitational side, but we should be seeing races there as well.
Oh, definitely.
But once again, thank you to our runners today, Darkshadows59 and Geoff. Make sure to give both of our runners a follow. They put on a great show closing out this mystery week. And of course, thank you to everybody who helped put this together. We had Math Girl on the restream, as well as 2D Tones on our tracking, and of course, my co-com, Rive.
Yeah, thank you again to everybody making this possible. And thank you for this great race to watch for you for closing out Mr. Week, you guys. GG's.
GG's.
Thanks, GG's.